Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to The Flow Within. My name is Tony G. Today I have the distinct honor and pleasure of talking with Emily Gould. Emily, thanks for making the trip up here.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to talk with you. We've been talking just a little bit before the show, and I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about.
We will, yeah. Having not met you prior to this, we have everything to talk about.
Indeed. So why don't we start with you? Let's go ahead and start with what got you into music in the first place. You're a drummer, so
Yes.
that's very interesting. I don't know a lot of drummers, so tell me about how you just got into it.
Sure. Okay, so I was 9, and I really liked Blink-182. I'm forever trapped in the 90s still, but 90s music was the best. And so I was listening to Blink-182 and hearing their drummer, Travis Barker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's really
He's
good. Even to my knowledgeless little mind, I was like, how is someone doing all of that at once? And so I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, I think I want to drum. And he was like, okay, we'll get you lessons. And it was just that easy.
Nice.
So we did.
So you started at 9 years old?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I really wish I got into guitar earlier. I didn't get into it till my mid-teens. And
Oh, that's great. No, that's okay. Yeah, that's really good.
So you started just obviously learning it as a hobby, kind of passion drumming project, and then how did that evolve as you kind of got older?
Sure. Well, I had a couple of other little friends, we were all quite young, let's say teens, who played other instruments, and so it sort of naturally was like, let's try to do this together. So we ended up playing a couple of little high school shows, and then building from there. And I found that I had a real passion for playing live.
Nice.
I'm sure there's nothing quite like it.
Oh
Yeah, and so that became my focus, was to be able to play at live venues, play with whoever, whenever. And so that was my aim.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
So little high school shows, and you're just of course blowing everybody away because you're like, whoa. I remember I played high school shows too.
How'd it go?
Terrible.
Yeah, totally. It's really not great, but we tried.
We have a video of my good buddy Trevor and I. He and I, we played music together off and on for probably 15 years, ever since college. But we met senior year of high school to do our high school talent show, and we played Sweet Child of Mine together, and it was so bad. It was so bad.
Were you doing the lead?
I was doing all the lead, and he was doing the singing, and it was just video of it exists somewhere, and it's actually in my vault. It'll never be released anywhere.
No.
It's so bad. It's so terrible.
We did the same thing. We did our premiere in our little children's band, and it was. Do you know what though? I think we did really good for not knowing what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only fair. I mean, as kids too, we're just so excited to be playing that you just kind of have to look back and just be like, we just did what we could.
Exactly. Yes.
I think that's
you can't be too hard on yourself.
No.
You tried.
I mean,
also,
sorry.
Playing live,
Yeah.
the only way to get better is to throw yourself out there, which is a miserable, feeling. So anxiety-ridden, but you get better.
How many shows do you think it took you before you were confident on stage?
Hundreds. I don't know. I dealt with anxiety and stage fright for a long time. I don't know if it was any longer than most folks, but it took me a long time to really be like, yeah, here comes another gig. I'm just going to go play.
Just going to get up there and do it. This is my job.
Yeah. It was, sometimes I still get antsy. So let's say it never happened.
Do you have a pre-show ritual at all? Do you have something that you do now to kind of get ready? Or are you just all right, set up my drums and just 1, 2, 3, 4?
Oh, no, I don't really have a ritual, but I do try to warm up so that I'm not super stiff when I'm trying to play these wicked double bass things or anything. So I'll pick up my sticks and play as quietly as possible. That's it. Do you do a ritual?
I have to go to the bathroom before I play.
That's
Otherwise,
fair.
I get up on stage and I'm like,
immediately.
oh, it's time. Yeah, it's time to play, and you're just like, I have to go to the bathroom, and I have 45 minutes before I can do that.
Yep.
It's torture.
That's true. Yeah. I do that as well.
So, going throughout your life, just how did music kind of, I guess, what kind of part in your life did music play ever since you were 9 years old? Has it always just been kind of a hobby thing, or have you now turned it into a full-time thing? How did that kind of progress over your?
For me, it was 100% my entire life's goal. As soon as I started playing, I was like, this is it. I don't want to do anything else. And so it became 100% my focus. And I had other jobs, and of course, I've wandered and had other hobbies and such. But ultimately, drumming professionally was my only goal. So I am doing that now. It is all I do. Thanks. Oof. What a difficult career choice.
Yeah, I can sympathize.
But yeah, you know. Are you full-time?
Full-time, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Look at us. Yes, it's hard to get here. But so was it your focus to just be a guitar player, or did you have other stuff?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I heard the opening lick to Crazy Train by Ozzy, I was just like, I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah,
and so college, I played a lot and started teaching, although I shouldn't have been teaching because I'd only been playing for 2 or 3 years. And I was like, I can teach people how to play guitar. I didn't know what I was doing. But,
that's okay.
you know, here we are.
They probably didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, totally.
That's definitely my life's mantra. But that's always been like my primary focus is just music. And of course, you know, I've done other things in the same vein. Like I'm a big language guy. We were talking about that earlier. And I think language and music have a very big connection to each other.
That's interesting.
So
why do you think that? Because I've never thought that.
Well, I mostly think it's just because of the way that we perceive sounds. And so in English, we have a lot of inflections when we speak. So sometimes if I ask you a question, I might end it with like a, you know, an up, kind of kind of inflection at the end of the sentence. And I think that gives us a signal somewhere in our brains to kind of denote that this is a question.
Ooh,
I also speak Mandarin Chinese, and in Mandarin, they use tones. And so when you say a word in different ways, you actually change the meaning of it. So for example, like the word for mother is ma, but the word for horse is ma. So you say it the same way, but they have different tones, and so that affects our brain differently. And I think that that's also connected to the way that when we listen to music, what goes on in our brain as well. So I think that they're very interconnected.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking as you're talking, so it's kind of like a fill leading into the chorus. You're implying where to go, your meaning.
Yeah, you have some different accentuations,
That's
right?
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll never not think of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have dynamics in music just like we have dynamics in voice. If you're angry, maybe your voice will get a little bit louder. You know, think about portraying emotions through the dynamics we use in music as related to the way that we speak.
Sure. Our super screamy, ragey music is super expressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not getting too lovey-dovey on you. You know, they need to get something off their chest.
Yes, that's right. Wow, that's a really cool thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. There's your food for thought for the day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So going through your career, when did you go full time, and when did you? Because I know that we should definitely talk about this. I know that you're sponsored now, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So what was your progression? Like, when did it really become this thing where you were like, I can do this full time? How old were you? What was the situation like? What were you doing?
Sure. So I can't take full credit. My family has been super supportive my whole life in this career, which I know I'm really lucky in that way. So I've only been a full-time drummer for, I'm going to say 6 years. Maybe? Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I shouldn't say only. I'm thrilled. Yeah. But the way I got there was definitely through the support of my family and my partner. Everybody, they wanted me to quit my job and pursue this full time. But of course, that's the most horrifying thing to be like, I put all my faith in this super wishy-washy business. But with their support, I was able to quit, floated for a little while as I established everything, and now I teach full time. And then play shows and record to supplement.
Very cool.
It's primarily teaching, but yeah, it's only been a few years of this, and it's still, it's still a process of ups and downs and trying to navigate more recently all of this business. So it's hard, but trying.
So you fill in as a studio musician as well too?
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh, I think that's my favorite thing right now, because I have a studio at home. But I'll go and record anywhere, record tracks here in Denver mostly. And I really like recording because you can study and study and study, but in the moment, you're going to lay down whatever you lay down. And for me, that's really quite emotive. I like that process.
I really enjoy that as well.
Yeah?
And sometimes you come up with stuff that you never would even think about in your practice, just because you're just kind of in the moment. And you're just like, okay.
Whoops.
And you try it. Yeah. Whoops. I can't even tell you how many of my best songs are those moments. Whoops! Whoa! Wait a minute, that was cool.
Oh my gosh, same. Where I'll record and I'll listen back and be like, that fill was awesome.
Yeah.
I can never play that again because I don't know what I did. But I loved it.
I actually just put out an Instagram video. Well, when this airs, it'll be like months ago. But I was just playing just like this nice little melody on one of my guitars, and I was just playing this part, and I accidentally did something that was really cool, and then I was like, okay, well, don't mess up, Tony, because this is the take. So just like keep playing, be conservative, and then the day after I was like, so how did I do that? And it took me probably a good 30 minutes to figure out actually how I did it accidentally.
Yes, exactly. But the only way that you'd really hang on to that is if it's recorded, if that's what you have to listen back to.
Definitely.
Oh, 100%.
I've heard that Steve Vai, a very prominent guitar player, I've heard that he just has constant recording going on in his house, and he just walks around with his guitar just like trying weird stuff. And then he's like, that was cool. And he can go back because it's already
that's
recorded.
Genius.
Yeah.
We need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What am I doing with my life?
I have so many ideas that I like tapped out and they were gone forever. That was
it. Isn't that the worst?
They
You're like,
lived
that's a great
briefly.
idea. I'll never forget about that. The next day you're like, what was I doing yesterday?
Totally. Yep.
So when did you get sponsored, and how did that come about?
So my first endorsement was with Outlaw Drums, and Michael Outlaw reached out to me 4 years ago, I think, 5 years ago now. He reached out to me on Facebook, and he was like, I really like what you're doing. Have you heard of my drums? And I was like, well, I've heard of you, but I don't know anything. So he invited me to check out the website, and I was looking at it. I was like, these are so cool. And when he first reached out, I wasn't really understanding that he was interested in working with me. I thought he was just like, take a look. But we began chatting back and forth, and he said, I'd really like you to represent our company. And I was like, yeah, sold, no problem. I love that. So Outlaw Drums, I now have a full custom kit from them. And and that's so cool.
That's the best.
So cool. I love our relationship. They're really supportive. And I have several other endorsements that have come over time, but Outlaw has been the one they were my first, and they've stuck with me, and they're a really good company.
That's so great.
And they have great drums, which is the most important thing is the product.
So they make all the shells, I would imagine?
Yeah, handmade. Okay, so bear with me.
Okay, no, please.
Oh, no, it's crazy. So most drums are made with plies of wood, so little skinny sheets of wood that they bend and glue. And so you have a drum shell. But the way that Outlaw does it, they'll either do stave, which is, imagine vertical strips of wood that are glued together to create the round shell, or what I have are segmented shells, which are sort of like bricks, where you take, I don't know how big they are, a couple inches of rectangular pieces of wood, and they block them together, glue them all with these crazy, massive clamps, and then they flatten them out from the inside and the outside and create a shell. It's amazing.
That's super cool.
Isn't it? I think so too. So that's what my kit is segmented shells.
That's so cool. So
it is.
Getting that kit, does that change your sound, or does that change your technique?
Not so much technique. Ultimately, they are just still round pieces of wood, but it did change my sound. They sound so much better than everything I had been playing, because I got to customize the dimensions, the wood itself. They've gone with Douglas fir, which I didn't know could be a drum. It is. Yeah, cool. They did it. Yeah. So the sound is 100% my own. I got to do the bearing edges, which is where the drum head meets the shell. Okay. So most of the time it's at a certain 45, 30 degree angle. Mine are rounded like a baseball bat. It's the coolest.
Interesting.
This is all custom.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it gets to be my expression of how I like my drums to sound 100%.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Thank you. I think so
kind of jealous. If anybody out there wants to sponsor me,
now's a good time.
Every time that I put my hands on a new guitar, I mean, there's a lot of guitars that I play, I'm just like, not me. But sometimes I put my hands on a guitar and I'm just like, I don't know how I'm doing this right now, but it just speaks to me. So I can only imagine it's the same thing when you get to custom design your own sound and what you hear as being the best tone.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I geek. I walk by it and I'll be like, look at you.
We got to play a show together now sometime, because I just I want to hear your kit live.
Sure. Well, I record it too, so you can hear it that way, but I'd much rather just play with you. Let's just do that.
Stage, like you said earlier, stage playing is so much better. Like, I love playing in the studio.
Yeah.
But being
it's
on
not
stage
the same.
is just way better.
Yeah. So if you could have a custom guitar.
Yeah.
Electric? Okay. Humbuckers or pickups?
Humbuckers.
Cool.
All the way. I'm a big fan of a really nice nice, warm, kind of fatter low end sound.
Cool.
And I'm recently playing a Charvel, which I'm mostly a Gibson guy.
I love Charvel.
But Charvel is this guitar. It's actually the signature guitar of the lead singer from Gojira. And I don't even really listen to Gojira very often, I'll be very honest. But one of my students was like, you should check out this guitar. And so I looked into it. And the price, number one, is very reasonable, but it only has one knob, and it's volume and tone. That's something I'm not used to. I'm used to, 4 knobs. You get volume on your neck and your bridge, and you get tone on your neck and your bridge. And I was like, what can I do with that? And then I watched a video of the lead singer from Gojira demonstrating his guitar, and he was like, check this out. And he was playing this really grungy, crunchy stuff. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then he was like, but check this out. And he flipped up to the neck, rolled off the tone and the volume just a touch, went to a clean channel, and he started playing, and the tone was out of this world. So I was like, yep, I'm buying it right now. And so I just bought it, and it's been my main guitar for the last 2 years or so.
That's awesome.
I can't go back. It's so good.
So I've never heard of a volume and tone knob in one.
Yeah.
Do you rely heavily on your amp then to switch from your channels and getting different tones?
I don't. I use tube amps, so it's pretty much just dry going straight in, and then I have 3 pedals. I'm a tone junkie in the sense that I love to find a good tone just based off of the raw abilities of my amp and my guitar.
Sure.
But I don't have a lot of pedals to like enhance my sound. So I just look for what I can with what I've got as in kind of like a minimalist setting, and then I supplement just a little bit.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's
cool. So then the guitar is doing the hard work,
It
which
is.
it should be doing.
I get a lot of comments.
Cool.
I'm very fortunate. I get a lot of comments on a lot of my videos where people are just like, how do you get that tone? I'm like, I wish I could take any of the credit. I plug in the cord into one side, and then I plug it into the other side, and I turn the amp on, and
that's awesome.
It happens.
What's your amp? What do you do?
I use a Vox AC-15.
Those are so a Charvel and a Vox.
Yeah.
What a beautiful marriage.
I know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Cool.
It's hard to beat.
That's really nice.
So I'm really into it. But so what outfits have you been playing with recently? Do you play with like one specific band, or do you kind of float around?
I have multiple. Yeah. I mean, like most folks nowadays, one probably isn't working enough. So I'm in several projects. I live in Colorado Springs, so most of the projects are there. My primary one right now is Fire Follows, which is like a heavy metal, half screamy, some rapping, super fun drumming. That's my primary jam. And then I recently recorded with Coming Forth by Day, and they just released an EP, which is like pretty heavy lead guitar, heavy drums, but there's no vocals. It's very guitar driven. It's really cool.
Very sweet.
Yeah. And then a couple more mellow projects, like Cloud Palace and the Double And I'm in a few. We just kind of. Most of this is working up to something since there aren't a lot of gigs, especially in Colorado Springs right now. So it's mostly just practices and getting ready to record.
Gotcha.
So, primarily Fire Follows, though. They're the ones who are working really hard and progressing the most right now.
That's always refreshing when you find people that are really driven to keep on pushing that project.
Why is it so hard to find musicians who are motivated?
Because it's the same, it's our own downfall is that we're all in so many different projects that very rarely do you find people who are just willing to invest into just one project. I mean, I'm guilty of the same thing.
Yeah.
I have my power trio. I'm trying to resurrect kind of like a 5 to 6 to 7 piece, kind of like soul, like fun, jazzy, poppy, funky kind of thing for like summer festivals. And I do my own solo stuff, and it's very hard for me to put all of my effort into one above the others. And so they all just, unfortunately, just kind of get spread out, which is, I think it's good for my sanity.
Sure.
Because I can't just do one to be satisfied. I need to kind of have my hand in several different honeypots, but it's very hard for me to just be super motivated about just one of the projects. And I think that's our downfall as musicians.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I think it is, like you said, for sanity, probably best that we float into different genres and see different people. But it's definitely a difficult group of folks to get moving.
Yeah. Do you, with your band that you play with the most, do you have like a lot of input in that, or are you kind of just filling in as a session player, or are you like a core member?
I am a core member, but the lead singer, the writer of the music, Chris, takes on all of the work. So and this has never happened in my life. Normally I'm the more of the take charge member of the band. And for this, Chris does everything, and I just sort of hang back and play the drums. And it is cool. I like that. It is my preference.
It's always nice to have at least one of those people in the band.
Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a leader. If you think you don't, you're wrong, and you probably do.
If you don't, you're probably still not making it.
Ugh, man, I wish it weren't the case, but every time I'm like, this is a really copacetic, everybody, it's a democracy, we're all on the same page, but then nothing happens because everyone's like, I don't know, so-and-so will do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So having this sort of like the established leader who's going and doing most of the work, and then we can support and help however he asks, ideal.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
So you also sent us a song today that we're going to be playing. Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, so this is from Fire Follows. Just released this, so from when this will air, it will have been, a couple of months since the song released. So the song is Crimson Rose, and like I said, Chris Watt, he's the writer of the music, so he'll sort of establish the baseline of what he thinks. I shouldn't say baseline, that implies something different. The outline of the song, and then he'll bring it to us, other band members, and be like, do with this what you will. So this one, I got to go ham on the drums, and I love it. I like the message of the song too. You'll get to hear it, but we also have a lyric video up already, so you can refer to that. And it's just, for me, having full expression on my instrument is really exciting, because as you know, sometimes you get locked in a little box, or you just have to, hold back a little. And in this project, I do not have to do that.
Excellent.
It's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's check out Crimson Rose by Fire Follows.
Thorns you hide beneath your leaves. Remind the words don't get too close. If they're to guard you hide from thieves. I hear there's been a few of those. Well, it's always been a mystery. How up the concrete you have gone. Your thorns have never bothered me. 'Cause all I see is a crimson rose. Remind me where you came from, remind me why you still are wrestling with demons that I know I saw you kill. How delicate the tourniquet, the quitting of the pain. But only in the fire can you learn from the flame. Like poetry in motion, I can see it in your eyes. Don't ever be ashamed of the tears that you cry. I know they'll never get it, no, they'll never have a clue. But when the dust settled, it was only you. Thorns you hide beneath your leaves. Remind the words don't get too close. They're there to guide you, hide from thieves. I hear there's been a few of those. Well, it's always been a mystery. How up the concrete you have grown. Your thoughts that don't bother me. 'Cause all I see is a crimson rose. Remember where you came from, remember who you are. Remember there's a story that's written in your scars. Remember that the world and they're always gonna hate. A rose is still a rose, and by any other name. Forget about the petals, I can see that they were torn. But look at how you've grown in the eye of the storm. Well, once a bed of roses is nothing but a grave. And when the dust settled, only one remained. Thorns you hide beneath your leaves. Remind the words don't get too close. They're there to guide you, hide from thieves. I hear there's been a few of those. Well, it's always been a mystery. How up the concrete you have grown. Your thoughts that don't bother me. 'Cause all I see is a crimson rose. Thorns you hide beneath your leaves.
That was a banger. I love.
Well, thank you so much.
You know, we were just talking before. I was like, I haven't really been listening to a lot of hard rock, but just recently I've just been kind of thrown back into it, and so listening to that kind of stuff just gets my blood pumping again. Just like back in college when I was like, yeah, let's do it.
I do the same thing. So I don't listen to a lot of hard rock. Again, I'm stuck in the 90s forever. I just that's my jam. But when I listen to what we've recorded, I freak out. I'm like, because I think it is so fun. It's I think, in my humble opinion, that this project, Fire Follows, does a good job of expressing without just, straight up screaming. It's not all hip hop rapping. It's a nice blend, so I think it can be super expressive, which is something that gets my blood pumping. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's great. I was telling you this just before we cut to the song, but when I listened to it yesterday, the intro was just kind of like, okay, like this is kind of nice, and then when it hits, it just hits, and you're just like, all right, like let's do this. We were just listening to it in studio, and our sound producer and regular producer were just like, I was like, here it comes, and then all of a sudden they both start bobbing their heads because they can't help it. And I love that kind of music.
Me too. It's something to listen to that's not just in the background. It's a little more engaging. I like that. Like my poor mom. She keeps being like, why can't you be in bands that just do like the beginning?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's just too, maybe it's not boring, I shouldn't say that, but it just doesn't fill the same need, It doesn't fill the
mellow.
niche that I need.
Chill.
I've written a lot of sad songs in my life, and they're like nice and slow, and a lot of 6/8, just like that kind of, just kind of driving and slow.
Yep.
And then now with my new power trio, I'm just like, let's just do 4 to the floor and just go. And
at 180 beats per minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Straight eighth notes. We're not breaking. We're just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, dude, I'm just like, no, we're doing it.
We have to
I
rock
need
this.
Please, guys, I need this.
It's fun. Yeah.
So, talking about expressionism through your music, like, how does music come into play in your life as like something kind of cathartic more than just as like an actual hobby/job? Is it actually more meaningful to you, just like using it as a way to express yourself?
Oh yeah, 100%. Music is my identity. I found this out during the lockdown when I was no longer playing music. I was like, what even am I? And I realized that music is who I am, and so being able to drum is 100% me. So we've talked about that already a little bit, but it's very nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. But if I don't know what else I would do. I might just paint miniatures for the rest of my life. That's not lucrative. So it definitely is my self-expression and who I am. Yeah.
What did you find out about yourself when you weren't able to drum?
Oh, Tony. What a bummer of a time. Oh. Like a lot of other creatives during the lockdown, slipped into a lot of depression, trying to just sort how to keep my business going, but also, me. What do I do? And that was a really difficult time to figure out. I didn't really want to practice very much because it was like, what do I even practice? What's the point? Nothing's happening. And drumming fell to the wayside, which had never happened in my entire life. And it became a chore, which was really sad, and something that I had to work hard to want to do. But eventually, it began feeling like, well, okay, this is my expression. I feel better playing, and it built back up to what it was before. But it was tough. Did you go through something similar?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that was also like when I started to try to go sober too. So it was a big mix of
that's a lot.
Like compounding emotions at the same time. And I'm sure that you can sympathize with this, but as we are professional musicians and we do our passion as a trade, do you ever find that sometimes you lose a little bit of motivation to play if you're doing it for work all the time? Do you find it hard to kind of pull time aside for yourself to play drums for you versus just playing drums for studio recording or teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. most of the time when I sit at the kit, it is to practice something that I'm working on, either for a student or for a show or recording. So to just sit down and noodle, sometimes that is either something I have a hard time justifying because I'm like, I'm at the kit.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have this coming up. I should probably do this, even though, I could probably take the time to just noodle. But I have a bit of guilt around it. Like, this is my job. This is full time. Even though it's a passion, it is also the only way I'm getting by. So I have to be on the ball. So it is a little bit hard to justify sometimes taking that time for myself. But I mean, I hope like you, once I am playing and I'm putting my heart into it and just doing whatever I feel like, it usually is really cathartic.
Definitely.
Same?
Oh yeah. It's very hard for me to pick up the guitar for myself after playing it however many hours we play a week just for our work. But once I actually commit myself to it and I sit down, then I find that easily an hour or two can have passed, and I'm just like, well, I didn't really accomplish much, but I just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Hugely important for us. I mean, how else do you get creative if you're not just doing whatever? You're not on anybody's time.
So going back to the lockdown, what steps did you take to kind of just make sure, like, try to take care of yourself, I guess?
Well, I ended up seeing a therapist, and she was massively helpful for just guiding me through navigating who I was again, sort of that restart. And like I said, I had been dealing with depression. I've dealt with depression my entire adult life, but it was really bad during the lockdown. Just sort of my whole day was sleeping. There's nothing to do, but that was no way to be. So I ended up getting a depression medication, and that helped massively, just to give me a better baseline to then go and try to figure things out. That was huge. So between therapy and the depression medication, I think that was the way I really helped myself. I did try to pick up yoga and meditation, but it's pretty fleeting. I'm a very in the moment person, so I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and then it lasts for a week, So that's it. But I tried. How about you?
Yeah, I'm a big meditation guy.
Good.
Yeah, and therapy, of course. Therapy is the best.
Oh, it's super helpful.
I was attending therapy before the whole lockdown and everything like that, and I had actually left the country for a little bit. That's when I moved to Germany. We were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And then when I got back and when the lockdown happened, that's when I started to kind of go back downhill, and so I reconnected with my therapist as well, and luckily she still had a spot for me because right now it is so tough for people to find therapists.
Oh my gosh, those poor therapists are so busy. I mean, I know it's their job, but whoa.
It's a lot. It's a heavy job.
Yes, it is. I don't know how they do it.
Well,
I'm grateful.
Seriously. I would not be in this place where I'm at right now if it wasn't for therapy. So I gotta tip my hats to all you therapists out there.
Totally with you. What a helpful job.
Definitely. So I think that was really huge for me, and but it was a lot of baby steps. Just a lot of, can I get out of bed before 3 p.m. today? Like that's my only goal.
Get out of your pajamas for an hour.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For 1 hour, and then put them back on.
You can go right back in. It's okay. But I agree. Those little tiny steps.
It really was just a huge journey from where I was to where I am now. I mean, I think it's a very big night and day difference, but it didn't happen overnight. And so just being able to work through everything one tiny step at a time. And, I think a mantra that I live by is something's better than nothing. So anytime that I could just do a little something that I didn't do the day before, even if it was just changing or like washing my pajamas.
For a year.
And then just like sit there staring at the washing machine like, oh gosh, are they done yet? Because like I just want to get back in my pajamas.
They're going to be warm? Yeah, totally.
Oh, why didn't we wear our pajamas for this interview?
We've made a huge mistake.
Next time. When I have you back the second time, we'll be
How about at our performance?
Yeah.
At our live show.
Actually,
PJ party.
I've already told this to my band, and they just have accepted it. But every time that I play with Polka Dot Pals, my power trio, I will always be wearing a panda onesie.
Oh my gosh.
I've already told them that, and that's what it's going to be.
Branding. Do
exactly.
It. Commit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they've already accepted it. So.
Okay. That's cool.
But yeah, it's just really a journey of one small step at a time, and then before you know it, if you just put one foot in front of the other, then you can, accomplish many things.
For sure.
And so I'm still obviously working. I will never not be working on myself.
Truly.
But just having been able to see tangible evidence too of like the first day that I decided to, not the first day, but around the time that I decided to go sober, I was like, is this going to be a good idea? I don't know, but I'm going to just try to put my faith into it and just try to adhere to it. And then what ensued, was terrible. Just a few months of just depression and anxiety, just going deeper and deeper and deeper. But now that I'm on the other side, and now that I have this tangible evidence of, yes, my life is way better now than it was then, it makes sense. But that wasn't the case when I first started.
No.
And so it's just been a tremendous journey of working together with a therapist and working on myself just one tiny baby step at a time to get to where I'm at right now. And
That's amazing. You did it.
oh, man.
We know it's not over, but
Right,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so
I mean, I think most people have a dip of some sort, but to truly put your mind to it and to pull yourself out of what isn't making you happy, a lot of folks don't have the willpower.
yeah,
And you did it.
it's
huge.
it's a tough thing, but it's really attainable by everybody. But I think a lot of people really want to just become a new them in a day, and I think that's the hardest part. It's kind of like your
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions, right? You make a New Year's resolution, and by February you're done. You haven't even. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but the biggest trend is that a lot of people are like, January 1st, I'm going to do this, and then by the time February 1st rolls around, they're like, I gave it the old college try.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that they have to go from who they are to a complete 180 in a month, and it's just not realistic. It's just not going to happen. And so I think the biggest thing is that people just need to learn how to take little bite-sized pieces at a time instead of trying to shove the whole cake in their mouth.
Yeah. Oh, totally agreed. I also wanted to just be better. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I had to
it's
work
hard.
really hard and put effort in. And that taking one step at a time is also something that I've heard with attention deficit disorder, which I have.
Okay.
It's really a chaotic thing to deal with. Do you have ADD as well?
I do not.
You seem quite focused, so.
Undiagnosed maybe, but nothing that I know of.
Okay, so my head is chaos constantly. And part of that is just do one little tiny thing. Just do one thing and stick to that one thing and do that every day, and you can hopefully find some organization, and it applies to one's entire life as well, but definitely in terms of depression, bettering oneself, trying to overcome whatever you're overcoming. Yeah, itty bitty, make your bed.
Yeah.
That was your goal for the day, and you did it. Yeah.
That's still my goal every day.
Mine too.
I try to do 3 things when I wake up: make my bed, brush my teeth, and meditate. And if I can do those 3, then I know that the rest of the day is on track.
Right.
But again, didn't start that way. It was like, make your bed. How can I make my bed if I'm still in it all day?
Step 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this count if I make my bed if I'm under the cover?
Oh my gosh. I'm totally with you.
So what other kind of like daily rituals do you have, or what are like the small steps that you try to take every day to just keep yourself in check?
Tony, I have.
let's just get our list going.
I'm a list person, and I have several apps where I'm like, I'm gonna do all of this. I do not. I have little habits I try to do. I have Habitica, the app, and it's really cute. It's like a little RPG app. It helps because you've got little rewards.
Yeah.
It's silly. But I have like 10 things I aim to do in a day, and I think I do 5. But hitting that little tiny check, it's satisfying. Part of my daily ritual is to drum every single day. And I almost always do that anyway, thankfully with students. I count that. I was behind the kit, I drummed. But to take time, like you were saying, to really sit down and play for myself is hard to do. So if I see that reminder, I'm like, do I count playing one beat for that student once today? And I'm like, nah, you need to work. So I see that little thing and I go and play. So drumming at least once a day, ideally, 15 minutes of just double bass, cramping my left leg. Good, you've done it.
I don't know how you do it. Props to you.
It's really hard. But if I've done it, I always feel more accomplished. So I tell myself that before I do it. I'm like, you'll feel better. Just go play. I have to give my dog a dental treat every day because her dental health matters. And I know this, but I'll forget if it's not in my stupid list. So it's just little things that probably should be innate, but for folks like me, it is not. So I make these reminders, and it helps.
I think making lists is fantastic because same thing, you get that achievement, the sense of achievement when you've done one of the things, even if it's something simple, like brush your teeth. Boom,
But you
cross
did
it off your list.
Yes. You get that little tiny bit of serotonin, like, look at you kicking ass. You did it. You brushed your teeth. Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, some people out there are probably thinking, like, what are they even talking about? That's so easy. But there are so many people out there that right now that is a struggle just to get up and to do one thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what that's like. It sounds like you and I have very similar experiences. And so it's just, I think it's just really important for us to really let other people know that sometimes it's just one small thing at a time.
Absolutely. And you should. There's no reason to diminish it. I joke, but I'm proud that I remembered to give my dog a dental treat because it's important. And if I didn't do it, I would be kicking myself the next day like, come on, Em, you knew what to do. But if I do that one teeny tiny task, I feel accomplished. I've done it. Yes, so truly step by step.
And that's how we build up our habits. And then before you know it, now you're doing it every day and you don't need it on your list. And now you can put something else on your list to strive for as well. Yeah. I think it's a really incredible way to kind of document your journey too. Like, look at what it used to be so hard for me to do, and now look at where I'm at.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I've gotten rid of so many little teeny steps that are like, oh, I've got that one in hand. I got the mail.
I got the mail. I took my mail today.
Yeah, but you're right, it feels
I'll
good.
take a shower. What's up?
Wow, winner.
But you know, I really think it is so important that we just pay attention to those small things and just keep on building from there.
You're right.
Oh my gosh, I have so many things to add to my list now.
Don't think about it. Oh,
all right,
no.
I'm overwhelmed. No, we're good. But it did take me a long time to find a new version of normal.
Yes.
That's a constant journey.
Did you find it? Yeah. Are you there?
I think so.
Cool.
But you know, then it's also very easy for me to kick myself when I get out of my routine just slightly. And then, like, for a while, I was a powerhouse. I was hitting the gym 4 days a week. I was eating healthy. I was doing this. And then, you know, the holidays come around, and eating healthy is not easy, you know, because you got all the good treats coming. And then just not getting into the gym because of family time or getting sick, getting COVID. It's just so hard to get back to that. And I think the hardest part for me is to not beat myself up for not missing or for missing like a day.
Sure.
Because I'll get back to it.
Right.
But again, you know, if you take one step back, it's not a big deal. You just have to take those baby steps to get back to where you are. So I think that's my most recent struggle is just trying to get back to what I had before, without being too hard on myself for not being there currently.
Oh, for sure. I totally understand that. Yeah. If my partner likes to travel, and it's really hard for me to hit the pause button on what I've worked so hard to establish doing every day. That really is a difficult thing for me. But then we go and travel, and I have a wonderful time, and I come back, and just like you said, okay, what did I do before? Step one. And it's hard to fall out of it and not be like, I'm not doing enough right now. But it's not that hard to get back into it if you just say, one thing at a time. I know what to do. You know, I haven't forgotten how to drum. So just go sit down. Just go sit. Oh God, I should knock on something. But you know, step one. Yeah, I totally agree.
It's been 2 weeks. I don't remember how to do this anymore.
What did I do before? What do I do with my hands?
Do you find actually taking? I mean, I know that you said that you try to drum every day, but do you find when you come back from, let's say, a week or 2 week break from drumming, do you find that to also be helpful?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm jazzed. I'm like, I've come up with ideas. I've again, some of this is just self-guilt and pressure where I'm like, Emily, you are getting weak. So, you know, you need to go sit behind the kid. So some of it's probably not the healthiest place to come from. But I'm also usually really motivated because I have these thoughts and I want to play with this band or this band. Oh, sorry, I bumped your mic. And so then I am usually really excited to sit back down and work. So yeah, in that way, it's really fun.
That's awesome.
And traveling sure can open one's mind, as you know, for different genres and styles, and hearing other people play whatever instruments is always like light bulb for me. For you too?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
I love when people show me new music, because I'll listen to it and I'll be like, I never thought about this melody before. Or I've never even heard anything like this. How does that inspire me? I might not try to copy it, but maybe it inspires a new melody in my mind, and then I'll try to take that somewhere else.
The creative input that you never would have had elsewise. Yeah.
So what do you have coming up? I know you said you guys have been struggling for shows down in the springs. Are you trying to plan out your spring, your summer, or are you just kind of taking it one day at a time, doing a lot more recording? What are the next steps?
More recording. So Fire Follows we've adopted this releasing singles instead of trying to do a whole EP or trying to tour necessarily. The hope is just, every, couple of months, drop another single. That way we're still progressing and we're still building up our live show, because we practice as well. But if there are no shows happening, we still have that revenue and still have the outreach that we'd like to have. So I think that's a happy medium. The rest of the projects, it's mostly practice, some are recording. Like I said, I have a little studio, so I can do demos quite easily. It's really convenient. So that's the goal for a couple of them. I do have 2 shows, one in Denver and one in Colorado Springs next weekend, which that's 2 more than,
Where are you playing next weekend? I mean, unfortunately this won't air in time, but where are you playing next weekend?
Well, in the future, it's Kawadi in Colorado Springs, which is this really cool. Are you familiar? Okay, it's this really cool, my best way to describe it is how malls used to be in the food court.
Okay.
It's totally cool. It's like that, but better.
Okay.
Where they've got a stage and they've got a bar and then a bunch of little food places.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Because people love food and they love music. Boom.
Yeah, me too. It's really cool. Yeah, so Kawadi in Colorado Springs, and then I'm playing the Hyatt in, I think by the Tech Center.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's for a fundraising event. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us where we can find all of your music?
Yes. Okay. So I have my own website, which is emilygouldrumming.com or egdrumming.com. They'll take you to the same place. But I'm also on social medias with Emily Gould Drumming, or Twitter is Emily Gould Drums. I have to keep track of all these because they have a limited amount of characters. But you can find me mostly through my website. It has all my links to my social media, and then I also link to current projects, and of course, through the social medias, I try to keep up with various things I've got going on.
Awesome. Well, Emily, I can't even tell you how ecstatic I've been to be chatting with you today. It's just been really nice to meet you and to just learn more about you, and I'm just excited that I'm always excited to meet other musicians that have kind of gone through similar things and are in the similar vein as I am, and so thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Tony.
It's been great.
I'm really thrilled that you asked me to participate, and mental health and music are paramount to me. So to be able to talk openly about it, having this platform, I think is really huge. So good on you.
Well, I appreciate you opening up, because that's another big thing too, is that we just need to talk about it more and just normalize the fact that a lot of people go through the same thing. So we should talk about it, open up, and just be more welcoming to the idea of talking about our mental health in a public space. So
I totally agree.
Thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty today. It's been really, really a pleasure talking to you. We got to get a show booked together soon. It's going to be great.
Pajamas.
Yes.
All right. I'll call you.
All right. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
My people will talk to your people.
Yeah.
We'll
get
it
my assistant reach out. Sure.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tony G, your host with The Flow Within. Thank you so much for stopping by the show today. We'll see you next time.